educate. You were safe in your factory because of police forces and fire forces that the rest of us paid for. Now look, you built a factory and it turned into something terrific or a great idea. God bless. Keep a big hunk of it. But part of the underlying social contract is you take of that hunk and you pay forward for the next kid who comes along. What's wrong with that? That's the kind of America we started out to be, and the kind of America we ought to be again. When I've sent her a little money, and I hope some of you have. Maybe some of you might have even gone up there to work for her. When I ran for president in Massachusetts, in Boston, the taxi cab drivers union endorsed me. And a friend of mine from Oklahoma, some Oklahomans came out there to campaign for me. And this Oklahoman was telling me, a friend of mine, he got out in the airport, he got in a cab and had a bunch of my literature and buttons all around the front of the cab. So he said to this guy, the cab driver, he said, "I see you're for this guy Fred Harris." The cab driver said, "Yes." He said, "He's a pretty good guy, is he?" He said, "Oh yeah, he's a good guy." He said, "Where is he from?" And this cab driver said, "Oklahoma." And he said, the guy said, "Where is Oklahoma?" And the cab driver said, "Well, I think you go west on Commonwealth Avenue." Well, I've got the same kind of story as Elizabeth Warren. I grew up down here in Walters, as you know, born in a little two-room house. I decided for some reason, early I wanted to be a lawyer, and so I purposely set out to become a printer, and I worked my way through law school as a printer. One time I've told somebody this, I think, I was going to write a book about, we're going to call it Before the World Changed. It's about Walters and a non-fiction book before World War II, because as you know, people scattered, everything changed after World War II. And I took my wife, Margaret Ellison. We just had our 30th wedding anniversary. She says it's Pearl, the 30th. I say Naugahyde, but well, I was driving her around Walters, driving the streets out, trying to research for this book. I later used it instead in a novel, but I said to her, "We used to live there," and I said, "We used to live there, and we used to live here." She said, why in the world do you live in so many places in the same town? And all my life I hated to move. And I never quite knew why, but then all of a sudden it dawned on me that in a 10-year period, from the time I was 7 until I was 17, we lived in 12 different houses in the same town, in Walters. And then I got thinking, before that, we lived in 5 other houses. Before we moved into Walters, all of them right there in Cotton County too. Well, my sister Sue was still alive then, and I asked her, my folks of course were long gone, and so were my aunts and uncles. But Sue knew a woman that was my mother's good friend, Lil Williams. She was in a nursing home. And she said, "I'll ask her why it was we moved so much." And Lil Williams said, as Susan, Sue and I knew, your mother could do anything. Wallpaper, paint, carpenter, whatever. You all would move into, all these houses were rented. You'd move into a house and your mother would fix it up and the landlord would raise the rent, and you'd move to another place and fix it up. And then raise the rent again. Well, I don't know, maybe that is the reason. But I was telling the guy back home about that, and he said, "Fred, it looked like so many times you come home from school and you find your folks have moved and left no forwarding address. You kind of get the message." And another guy said to me, he said, "It's a damn good thing if you didn't get elected president. It would have bankrupted the country to make monuments out of all your homes." Fred Harris lived here and here. Well, somehow or another, private schools. I went to a public university, public law school, got out of school, as you could do in those days. My semester tuition and fees during that period was about $150. $150. I worked virtually full time, and also toward the end got some scholarships. And look what's happened to that now. That's $8,300 and some dollars is what that would be today. Charlie, the great old Western painter Charlie Russell, one time wrote, he said, anybody who can make a living doing what he likes is lucky. He said, I've been that, and any time I cash in now, I'm ahead of the game. And that's the way I feel about it as well. The interesting thing is, my story like that, or Elizabeth Warren's story, these are not unique stories. Bill Kidd here was in my high school. I think about 2/3 of our 1948 graduating class at Walters wound up getting a college education. And a lot of them advanced degrees as well. But think about this. We came out of World War II. In the United States, our national debt was 122% of gross domestic product. More than the total gross domestic product, all the services and goods sold in a year, or value of them in a year. And, you know, if you're looking at these Republicans today, what they would have said to do was cut government services. But we didn't do that. What we decided to do was invest in people, in education. Remember the GI Bill, for goodness sake. Think what that did for this country and what growth it caused in this country, the economic growth as well as the lives that it changed. What about President Eisenhower's Interstate Highway Program, the greatest public works project since the days of Rome? We invested in ourselves and in our infrastructure, and we kept it up. And about 40 years after that war, the national debt was down to 33% of gross domestic product. Not because we cut the government spending, but because we'd become a much richer country, because gross domestic product had grown enormously since then. That's, we invested in ourselves. As I said, we invested in education and infrastructure and science and technology and health, the kind of things that Obama and the Democrats have proposed here, and so much of which has been blocked by this Republican Congress. Today, as you know, much to the Republicans' chagrin, oh my gosh, they must think, oh, it's terrible news. Unemployment rate has gone down to 7.8%. It's the lowest since January of 2009. We finished now 24 months of continuous growth in private jobs in this country. 5.2 million private jobs created in the last 24 months after we beginning to come out of that terrible recession. And studies have shown there have been a good many millions more of these jobs if President Obama had got his program through, the jobs kind of programs that he has pushed into Congress. And don't you know that people like Romney and Ryan and others woke up this day to get in the news that, oh my gosh, the economy's getting better. This is terrible news. Well, the gross domestic product went up. The level of education went up, and median family income went up. From 1948 to 1979, the average household income went up by $21,000 a year, adjusted for inflation. And the interesting thing is the benefit